I'm Ryan Pack,
And I'm Nicole Barlow.
and this is Soundtrack Your Life. So today we are joined by Brittney Williams, the Reclusive blogger. And so welcome to Soundtrack Your Life, Brittney.
Hi.
So why don't you tell our listeners a little bit about the Reclusive blogger?
Well, the Reclusive blogger, I kind of started a little bit ago, and I just kind of talk a little bit about music and pop culture and entertainment. And there's lots of concert photography, and I'm based out in LA, and since that's really a lot of concert photography and lots of music, and yeah, I just kind of do a lot of that on there, and then a lot of interviews. And on my podcast, it's a lot of interviews with a lot of creatives and musicians and my favorite people. So yeah, it's just kind of stuff like that.
Very cool. And you can check that out at www.reclusiveblogger.com.
Yep.
So today we are going to talk about the 2015 Lin-Manuel Miranda musical juggernaut Hamilton. So Brittney, why are we talking about Hamilton today?
Well, first of all, I'm really, really big, like Lin-Manuel Miranda fangirl. If anybody doesn't know that, he's just really amazing at what he does. And I just thought the idea of like creating a musical about the founding fathers who are white and then kind of flipping it upside down and taking hip hop and then making that into something that is very well, kind of making it for today's world and stuff like that. And that just kind of makes it more easier to grasp, I guess, for some people. And he just kind of made it so where everyone can kind of grasp maybe some of the things that maybe some of the historical aspects of it. And I just thought that that was really, really intriguing. And that kind of led me into his world and so many of the references and in within the play. And there's a lot of Broadway references and things like that. And so I found that just so exciting and intriguing. And particularly since Broadway itself, I think a lot of people maybe have trouble grasping at times. And so, yeah, I think that's it really. And it's just so catchy and hooky and things like that. So, yeah, that's pretty much why I chose Hamilton.
I want to raise my hand and say that I'm one of those people that sometimes finds Broadway and musicals hard to grasp. Raising my hand and hoping that the people that love musicals don't come after me because I feel like you guys are legion and you're going to find me on the internet and harass me for about Stephen Sondheim or something. But I got to say, Hamilton, when it came out in 2015,
Mm-hmm.
I feel like it took over the public consciousness in a way that most musicals simply don't. It became this whole like really wild, zeitgeisty, huge cultural moment. So, if you're me and not someone that's necessarily a musical person, because I'm not, I've still heard a lot of these songs because they are, like you said, so catchy, so hooky. The way that this is executed is something really different. I think one of the things that I was reading up on about this is seeing how this apparently took Lynn 8 years to write.
Yeah.
8 years? It's intense.
It took him, well, I think maybe several years to write one song. And then there was, I'm not, I'm not, I don't want to like specifically say which songs I don't want to go to my notes right now, but several songs because like at the end of the Disney version of it, he thanks all the different places that he wrote different songs, like a specific train. And then there's another song he wrote on when he was on his honeymoon and stuff, because his original idea for Hamilton was not actually going to be a Broadway play. He was going to do like I think it was like a mixtape or something like that. Mm-hmm. And so things like that, it just kind of blows my mind that it took him that long, but you can kind of see within the craft of the lyrics and the songwriting and the specific references, and even some of the references have references. And so you can kind of see why it did take 8 years for him to write Hamilton.
I want to know which one of the songs he wrote on his honeymoon. Because can you imagine you're on your honeymoon
Oh,
and Lynn's like, babe, no, I gotta, no, there's some stuff going down right now. I need to
I
figure
got the
out.
song about George Washington. I got it right.
It's kind of like how you're supposed to
I would have
about
to look that
baseball.
up because it's blank. I'm blanking out right now, but I would have to look it up right quick.
All right, well,
But yeah,
listeners, you hear this episode. If you want to, correct the record here. Tell us which of the Hamilton songs got written on Lynn's honeymoon.
I hope it is the least romantic song in the musical.
Would be a lot of them, honestly.
Yeah. Hopefully
Take
it's
your
not
pick.
like one of them about him cheating on his wife.
no, I think. Oh man, I'm looking it up right now because I hate that I blanked out on that. Bring up a fact and then I can't remember half of the fact.
Well, now I've opened this whole can of worms where I just want to know like what founding father was keeping that honeymoon from happening.
At one point I was like so desperate for like knowledge on these things because it was just so mind-blowing to me. I would like binge watch videos of people who knew a lot of the knowledge and references, and I realized I was staying up on YouTube and it was like 3 a.m. and 4 a.m. and I was like, oh no, I need to go to bed. This is not healthy. Because it was just so, it was like so fascinating to me. I'm like, how did this man come up with this and then do things like that? And I'm like, wait a minute, he wrote, wait. And I'm like, how did he get away with writing a song on his honeymoon? And
Yeah, that is a
that
real
was
question.
okay.
This is a real question. It's weighing on me personally. I do love this level of obsession, though. I love that in 2015 he had everybody like really going down the rabbit hole of American history.
Yeah, I think at one point people found like his American US history teacher. I guess that's a I didn't need to say American US. The
We
US
got it.
history teacher from high school.
Yeah,
And they
you
were
know.
like thanking him for like inspiring Lin-Manuel Miranda, and he was just like, I was just a history teacher, like I am not responsible for him making this musical that's blown everyone's
Yeah, I didn't
minds.
buy him that book that he did all this from. That wasn't.
Yeah, like I taught Alexander Hamilton to hundreds of kids, and he's the only one that wrote a musical that was worth
He
leaving
didn't
my
get extra
classroom.
credit. There was
Well, because I feel like every year in high school, there's always it's either in chemistry or it's in some class where they're like, for my class project, I wrote a rap, and Lin Manuel Miranda is probably the only one who's rapping about his like studies that where it's like, okay, this isn't like just good for a kid. Like this is something that you can present outside of school.
I like that we're kind of paralleling it to just a really really great school project, like the most kick ass history project.
Well, if someone were to say like, hey, like if I told you, like, Nicole, I'm gonna just like quit everything and I'm gonna write a musical about, I don't know, like I don't know, James Madison, you'd be like, no one wants to hear that, Ryan.
Yeah, I would be slightly worried for your mental state. I also recently watched Muppets Take Manhattan, and I feel like in Muppets Take Manhattan, they have this idea for a show that they want to take for Broadway, and that's like the whole central premise of that Muppet movie. And this is kind of the same way. I feel like he'd be like a Muppet going door to door, like, hey, I got this Broadway play. Well, what's your Broadway play about? Well, it's about Alexander Hamilton. It's about who? But what? The guy on the money? No, we're not doing that.
But Brittney, let's back up. So when did you first hear about Hamilton?
Oh man, I'm trying to think. Oh man. I think it was, oh, now, okay, okay. I think my grandma told me about it because she knows that I'm really into history. Like that's like something that I'm super super into, and I just as a kid I was the the child that was going around and had like an Abraham Lincoln biography that I carried around in my backpack. And I was really into biographies and historical fiction and things like that. So she was like, because as I got older, I still was really into history and things like that. And so she was like, "Hey, there's some kind of play or something that's supposed to be a really big hit and stuff. You might like it." And then she told me about it. I'm like, "Okay, I'll go check it out." And then I checked it out, and it just that's at the time when it was starting to blow up and things like that. And so the thing was I never got to see it on Broadway, and that was the one thing I really wished I got to see, because by the time it had blown up, the tickets were like astronomical.
Right.
So I just did a lot of YouTube videos, and I listened to the soundtrack like an insane amount of times. But the thing was, I hated that it blew up so much that a lot of the I'm just going to say this, that a lot of the people that really wanted to see it from the beginning could not afford it. But things like that happen. But yeah, so I kind of go like way back and stuff like that. So it was my grandma telling me about it.
You
So
have a
did
cool
you?
grandma. You have a
Yeah.
cooler grandma than most people, I think. She knew.
Or my grandma just knew that once a nerd, always a nerd.
I mean, but this is kind of custom made for people that are really nerdy and obsessive about a particular topic. I feel like that's what this is.
Hmm.
One man's obsession turned into something really brilliant, which is what a lot of great art is, I guess.
Yeah. And I looked up the song that he wrote on his honeymoon. It was "You'll Be Back." So it was the one about the King George. That
So
was the King
very
George song.
unsexy, very unsexy.
Very
Yeah.
unsexy. Who wants to think about King George? I think I'm gonna need the opinion from his wife, but that's the story for a different day.
Babe, just
I
think of
guess
Jonathan
maybe
Groff.
she knew her husband, I guess. He's like, "I'm just
Well,
going to go
but
over here and write a song."
yeah, I think she knows what comes with the territory of marrying a guy who
Hmm.
wants to write musicals. So are you familiar with In the Heights?
Yeah, I'm less familiar with In the Heights, but yeah, I am familiar with In the Heights.
Yeah, I don't. I am also not as familiar with In the Heights. I think my wife saw it, so I think my wife was like very excited. Like she never suggested we go to New York to watch it, but she was definitely on the once it gets to LA, we're gonna go watch it. So we got like season tickets for the Pantages just so we could watch that.
Yeah, I for in terms of like with Hamilton, I was the person that was like entering the lottery
Hmm.
every day to try to get those lottery tickets. But yeah, I did see In the Heights the movie, so
Yeah, I'm gonna have to watch that.
I mean, given the, as you mentioned, like astronomical costs associated with going to a Broadway show or any, I guess, popular company production of a show like this, how do you feel about the Disney Plus adaptation? Is that something that you've watched a lot, that you've watched once?
I that's a whole nother story in my family because my mom. I tried to get my mom and my some of my family, actually my entire family, to sit down and watch it. They could barely get through it because they didn't realize how long it was. I was watching it every day, sometimes several times a day. When I say I'm like a Hamill nerd or a Hamill stan, it's bad. That's why I wanted to go to the production so bad, but it was at the time it was exorbitant. I think the cost was in the thousands. So I think it was more so because it was Hamilton, and rather than just like a Broadway, because normally Broadway doesn't get too expensive. It was because the demand was extraordinarily high.
Hmm.
for Hamilton, which is really kind of unheard for most Broadway plays because I like a lot of other I just like musicals, so that's another nerdy thing.
It's more than going to production of Cats.
Yeah,
I'll give it that.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I saw.
They said
Sorry.
no. I was just
Yeah, I saw Book of Mormon. I think a couple years after the original cast had left, and that was still pretty expensive.
Mhm.
yeah. But that was another really in demand production, Book of Mormon.
Yeah, and I feel like that was maybe the last musical that had as much cultural impact. I mean,
Hmm.
it wasn't even on the same level as Hamilton. It did, but it gave us Josh Gad.
Yeah, and Josh Gad in Frozen, and I like
Right.
Frozen. Hmm.
We'll get into some Disney stuff in a little bit, but I mean, we have to. It's part of the Mirandaverse.
It's no choice.
I'm
We're
going
in
to
the
keep on
Miranda
saying it
verse.
and I'm going to keep on saying it until people start using it. So let's talk about some of these songs other than the song he wrote on his honeymoon. It is a pretty good mix of like hip hop and like pop music. There are some songs that definitely are just kind of more standard musical sort of numbers. So what are some of your highlights?
Do you want to start, or who wants? I can start, or because
How about you start? But you
Yeah, you
can't
tell
say
us.
all of them.
You're our
okay.
resident expert. I don't know. What's your preferred nomenclature for people that are really into Hamilton? Are you guys ham stands?
I oh man, I like the intro song. Is really just great. But my favorite, I really like Wait For It, and I like the Schuyler sisters, and oh man, it's so hard to pick. It really is so hard to pick because each song is just so good, and then they all have different references within the songs, and then they all have the, like I said before, the references have references. And I also like Guns and Ships because the oh my gosh, the rapping in Guns and Ships and how fast David Diggs raps in Guns and Ships is just utterly insane. Oh my, I literally I can't, and how fast that he is rapping in that. It's okay. And then also uh the okay, the 10 Dual Commandments,
Mm-hmm.
that one too. But then also Leslie Odom, his singing too, and in all of his songs too, is incredible. So you can kind of see why a lot of the cast members did win the Tony Awards because yeah, I mean it's one of those musicals that come along kind of like once in a lifetime, and where everything just kind of lines up. And then you have the Alex Lacamoire, and his musical accompaniment and directing is just, I don't know, just everything to me kind of lined up perfectly on that. And it's kind of hard for me to like pick a song, but then you also have Burn, and I don't know. It's
You
for
have
me,
to pick a
it's
song,
hard.
Brittany. You have to pick one. Desert
I
Island.
know. It's
I
hard.
think it's
It's
also
hard. It's
hard with
hard.
soundtracks that are like this one. They're an entire story, so it's not like you can take
Hmm.
one part of the story out. It's like choosing, a limb or an organ or something. You need them all. So I get that. But Desert Island, you have to take one.
Let me see. Let me see. I tend to go more for like the kind of hype songs. So I guess the one I would say I listen to the most is probably I probably listen to Guns and Chips more because that one is just like, I mean, David Diggs really killed it, and then he plays two different characters, so I have to say David Diggs. Anything with him on it, so I'm gonna go with Guns and Chips. That's the one I'm into right now the most.
Hmm.
Ryan, first of all, while you ponder this, have you seen Hamilton live? Have you seen
Twice.
it? Twice. Okay. Just getting the numbers straight.
So I've seen it in LA and Costa Mesa. So for me, like, I went into Hamilton without really listening to any of the songs. So, like, I kind of knew what it was about. I knew it was going to have some hip hop in there. And it really, I think Satisfied really blew my mind where they do the rewind and then they do
Mm,
it on the stage too.
hmm.
Um, that was pretty incredible. Like, it felt like you were in a music video, but it was like live. So
Yeah, that's incredible.
I remember that always stuck with me. Obviously, also with the 10 dual commandments, how they did that. Like I guess I'm not a big enough musical person where I realize like how inventive they can be with the stage. That was a huge thing for me. Like you said, with the direction, I definitely felt like I was constantly like getting my mind blown during the show. Not with just, oh, there's rapping in here, but like just also with how they choreograph things. And it was like Circus Lay slash rap slash musical.
So I'm going to be the one person here that hasn't seen it performed. So I'm so sorry to everyone out there that's going to hate me for this. I haven't seen it performed, but I'm familiar with the music now. And the level of intensity that they keep, is it really that high throughout the entire thing? Because it just feels like each moment is this high wire vocal delivery. And I'm like, whoa, this is so much.
Yeah, it is pretty high, like high intensity, and I would imagine if seeing it in person, it's pretty high intensity because it's a lot. And then and I'm sorry, and I'm glad you mentioned that, Ryan, because like the turntable, when I first saw that, I thought that was like the most incredible thing ever. And then when I was learning about some of the references, that even the turntable itself has like a meaning and stuff. And I want to get this correct, and I don't want to like get it wrong, but I think there's like a meaning with like when it goes like, I think like clockwise, it means something like, and then when it goes counterclockwise, it also has a meaning too. As in like, oh man, I just saw this. I'm getting nervous and stuff like that. But I think it when it goes like counterclockwise, it means that the that like Hamilton and the cast is like fighting fate. But when it goes clockwise, it means that they are not fighting against fate and things like that. And so there's all these like references within just the way that the turntable goes, and then and also just things like that that you might miss if you don't know about the production on of the stage or some of the music references as well. It's just those little things too that I guess if you go watch some videos online or ask people, it's just kind of little nerdy things like that that just kind of excite me because I always think about like what is going on in like Lin Manuel Miranda's mind when he was creating this. It's just crazy.
So, Nicole, do you have a favorite song?
I mean, it's all just so dense. It's a lot of stuff. And I feel like if I've seen it performed and I haven't, and people are like, why is she doing this podcast? But I feel like they're all really great in different ways because they all have sections that are really impressive. Uh, and you can't really like pick one because there are parts of different ones that are really catchy, like you said earlier, and then there, are parts that are really like impressive on just like a vocal gymnastics type of level. Like that really fast rap that you mentioned in Guns and Chips is like, what? So all of it is just, I think, still really surprising too, because it's not like this is a typical musical. I think nobody else has had 7 years to put this kind of craftsmanship into something again, right? So no one's really like caught up. Is there anything even like comparable to this that isn't by Manuel Miranda?
I don't know. I can't get. I don't. Oh
Terry Gilliam
man.
trying to do Don Quixote.
Man, I don't think so. That's why it still kind of sticks out so much, is because there really isn't, or else I'm missing something.
I mean, there's even stuff to spare left over from the show. Ham drops. Are you into like is that what it's called? Like the extra songs and sort of
The Hamel drops.
Hamel
Yeah,
drops.
him. Uh-huh.
Ham drops. Ham drops sounds.
There's the Hamel drops and the Hamilton mixtape,
Ham
which we
drops
still
sounds like
need
the
to get
Yes.
worst
into.
Uh-huh.
We're getting
product.
into all of it.
Like,
Mm-hmm.
let's season that with some ham drops, Hamel drops. I know one of the Hamel drops was the Ben Franklin song by the Decemberists that was ultimately cut from the show. I guess because Lynn couldn't find a way to make Ben Franklin a character. He had enough going on, so he was like, Ben Franklin, you're too much. I feel like Ben Franklin is his own show.
There is a reference in Satisfied with the Key and the Kite.
Hmm.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Ben Franklin is the one that didn't get his moment, but
Well, because he would have taken over the entire show if you listen to the
I
lyrics of
know.
that song.
too much spotlight, honestly. Ben Franklin is too interesting. That guy was wild. Where's that show, Lynn?
Yeah.
Fill that out.
I mean, I feel like the only like kind of chill parts of the actual musical are when Jonathan Groff shows up to be the King of England. It's like your time to like catch a breath. If you had Ben
And then
Franklin in
during
that show,
Burn, yeah, Burn's
yeah.
kind of chill.
But Ben Franklin would just like he would have like destroyed everything. Like especially the
Yeah.
way he wanted to make him with his "Do you know who the fuck I am?" over and over again.
Too much swagger. I think the show is already so breathless in a way. Like you said, there isn't really a lot of chance to pause, and only being familiar with the soundtrack and the music, there aren't a lot of pauses. It's high intensity. We didn't need
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so with the Ben Franklin song, I think he wrote the lyrics, but he didn't write the music for it, and so then he had Colin Malloy and company make it into a December song.
Right. It's since become sort of a popular song that December's fans want to hear live.
Yeah, I've seen them play it live during like an encore.
Again, testament to and power of this show and its
Mm-hmm.
cultural impact and mark, because that will are also, I think there's a lot of overlap between like history nerds that love Hamilton and history nerds that like the Decemberists. Big overlap on that Venn diagram. So you got a really high chance of the same fans being at those shows.
And I think he just joined them on stage, I think a few months ago in like Central Park or something to sing it.
Oh, cool.
Oh wow.
So what are some of your... So when he announced the Hamel drops, well, maybe we should do the mixtape first. We'll go chronologically. Because the mixtape came out in 2017. It was announced in 2016. And then Hamel drops was 2018. I mean, like, that is such a... I don't know. It's the musical that just kept giving. You know, like, oh, we've got extra
Mm-hmm.
material and we're doing this other music project with like, you know, popular musicians. So what was your reaction when, you know, they announced they were going to do this mixtape?
I wanted to see who was going to be on there first, because I'm like a purist at heart, and so I just kind of interested in see where it was going to go. So that was my my initial reaction. And then I just started kind of listening to it. I still listen to the original soundtrack, but there are some songs on there I really like.
Yeah, it seemed like it doesn't feel like a cash grab. Like, I think, like sometimes like a Disney, like Frozen will do well, and then they'll do like an album of like covers of like Let It Go and stuff, and it just feels kind of soulless, and you can just feel them trying to take the money out of your pockets.
Hmm.
This doesn't feel like that. It feels like he had a lot of input. All the people that are on it, like you can tell that they love the original musical. Like you
Hmm.
kind of feel that connection.
Yeah, I think um, the I think that's more because of of who Lin Manuel Miranda is. He seems like the type of person that would want to have like his hands on a lot of the stuff with Hamilton, because it seems like that Hamilton's like his baby and things like that. So that's at least that's my opinion of it.
And what are some of your favorite songs from the mixtape?
Let me think. Um, oh, I liked Usher's cover of "Wait for It." I think he has a similar voice to Leslie Odom Jr., so that worked.
Yeah, he's kind of a natural fit for that song.
Is that
Hmm.
kind of what you're looking for with something like this? Where, because I know I look for this with cover songs sometimes, is somebody that like suits the original singer's kind of like vocal range or tone or something, or you just want like a wildly new interpretation. But I feel like a
Hmm.
wildly new interpretation or tempo or something would be weird for this. You kind of like want to be faithful to it, but not.
On that one, yeah, probably on some of them it would be a little weird. I also like the oh, this one I forgot about this one. Just came to my brain. Dear Thea, can't talk. Dear Theodosia with Regina Spektor and Ben Folds from Ben Folds 5, because I like Re- um, Regina Spektor's voice, and that one suited that. And that one was actually completely different, like you mentioned.
Yeah, that's cool. I can imagine that actually. It seems like a cool pairing. Cool
Yeah, that's
duo.
my wife's favorite song from the mixtape, and
Oh
I
wow.
think she prefers that to the original. They do a really nice job of harmonizing Regina and Ben.
Hmm.
We've been talking about Ben Folds a lot on this podcast lately.
Ben Folds, come on our podcast. I love you.
But like even like people that I don't necessarily care for, like I think they're used well on this, like on the My Shot Rise Up remix. Nate from The Format and Fun, he has a vocal thing in here, but like they use him in the right way, so it doesn't bother me. And he's not singing about how he's still young.
Oh, okay, yeah, yeah, yeah. I had to think. I was like, oh, yeah, yeah, yeah. Are Fun still a band, or are they just
No,
like,
I think he took some song that he was supposed to save for them, and then he secretly put out a solo album, and there's some bad blood. But I don't think, and I think Jack
oh,
Antonoff is like, well, I really don't need the two of you holding me back.
No
He's
fun.
busy enough.
hmm.
Fun stopped being fun.
Yeah, the fun stopped.
I will agree that the musical is better just like on a normal day, but I do every now like I think the mixtape is fun like when you're like at the gym or something because you got kind of like more hip hop beats going on. And then they released the single that Immigrants We Get the Job Done, which has like Riz Ahmed rapping on it.
Yeah, I vaguely remember that one, but I think it that one seemed a little bit disjointed to me.
Yeah, I
I don't
think
know
that one
why.
was built off of just kind of that one line and like a little bit of
Hmm.
score, but it's mostly just kind of a beat. But this was before everyone knew Riz Ahmed as like the serious actor, and he was
Yeah.
still kind of known as.
It's so wild how a song lyric like immigrants we get the job done has sort of been taken up as this like call to action. I think that's really cool that there are lyrical
Mm-hmm.
moments throughout this, that and
Mm-hmm.
young, scrappy and hungry just like my country, even if you're not intimately familiar with the show. That's cultural impact. That's a legacy that this show has that a lot of things just don't.
Yeah, because I think, and this goes back to a lot of the references. There's a lot of like motifs throughout the show, and that's and a lot of just things that are just so easy to reference, and things that he uses through a lot throughout the songs, and stuff that you can either connect through this his musical here, and then also Into the Heights as well.
That's the Miranda verse, right? The connections.
And
Mm-hmm.
that's kind of a hip hop trick too. Like a lot of rappers will, start like throwing in like kind of like a catchphrase line when they like guest on other
Yep.
people's songs, and it kind of builds up into being like a thing. And then,
Yeah. Uh-huh.
you
Because
know,
he's really into like hip hop, and so as you mentioned, the immigrants we get the job done, that he mentioned something very similar in the Heights, and then also the my name is Alexander Hamilton. That's also another like big thing in, like you mentioned, rap. That's like a big rap motif. Every rapper is always like, oh, I gotta be like doing the call out of my name and stuff like that. And then you can even go into more specific rap reference and stuff like that. Like if you had like all day on with Hamilton, you could just like go through each song and just pick out like so many motifs and rap references, and like you were saying with the Miranda verse, like a lot. There's so much. You could have a field day with it, to be honest.
yeah, and I mean the amount of stars that have come out of this show. Um,
Mm-hmm.
like I was saying, Josh Gad kind of came out of the Book of Mormon, but like outside of Lynn, who is you know writing music for Disney and directing movies for Netflix. Leslie Odom Jr. As we mentioned, he's been in movies and TV shows. He was in was it One Night in Miami? Is that the name of the movie? He was Sam Cooke in that.
Yeah. I think, who
Sam
did he play?
Cookman.
He played Sam Cooke, right? He
Yeah,
played,
yeah, yeah.
yeah, Sam Cooke.
And then
Yeah.
now he's doing a guest spot on Abbott Elementary.
Mm-hmm. And then David Diggs and um, wow, just basically a lot. There's a lot. And then some people were kind of known before, but they that made their name higher, like
Right.
more famous, and so there's a lot.
Yeah, like David Diggs did a movie after this that he
Mm-hmm.
co-wrote. Renee Elise Goldsberry, she's on
Mm-hmm.
Girls Five Eva on Peacock,
Peacock,
and
yeah.
she was also in She Hulk.
And then
Get that
oh,
Marvel
the
money.
guy, I'm blanking out on names, but he played John Lawrence, and oh man, I'm not good with names. But yeah, I mean, literally just everybody. Literally, if you just said the entire original cast would be just is literally the entire original cast is a household name now, I would say.
Mhm.
Yeah, and I
Mhm.
think even my wife told me this. Adrienne DeBose from West Side Story. I think she was a dancer.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Because she see, that's the thing I forgot to mention. She played the Bullet. That is big in Hamilton lore, because um, do you know about the Bullet character in Hamilton?
From the Duels.
Well, okay, it's like this is really going into like Hamilton lore. It kind of starts from the beginning of the film, but it's a character. It's more like a silent character, but it's basically a character that interacts with every cast member that dies. And it's you can it's kind of you can just kind of go like look it up on YouTube, but it's a character and she played it like a long time ago, but they kind of switch it out um, by different people, and it's also played in like kind of like a figurative dance way, but it's a character that interacts with every person in a way before they die, and so it'll be easy. I'm not explaining it in the best way, but if you look it up, then you can see, and it's a very creative way to put into the play how to foreshadow when a character will die. And so if you look at significant plot points in Hamilton, like right before um, Philip Schuyler dies, he interacts with the Bullet character, and you can probably see it more so in the Hamilton on Disney too. Uh, Her character interacts with Philip Schuyler right before he goes off to the duel and winds up dead at 19. And how you see her character there, he's flirting with death. So I know it's a little kind of morbid, but it is in there. And then it's various. I guess there's like various ways you can see it, so it's there. And then also another significant way to see it would be. Oh man, I'm trying to find another way. I know it's you'll just know it in different plot points, and that you'll notice that her character is there, and it's always right before someone dies, including Hamilton himself. So yeah, that's really big in Hamilton lore. It's kind of, if you're not really like into Hamilton lore, you won't notice, but yeah, that's who she played.
Oh, that's crazy.
Yeah, uh-huh.
So to go back to why it took Lin-Manuel Miranda so many years to create Hamilton, while he was putting the finishing touches on Hamilton before, he presented it on Off Broadway, he was writing songs for Moana.
Hmm.
So even before Hamilton became this huge phenomenon, Disney had already caught on to the songwriting talents of Lin-Manuel Miranda. So he was already writing songs from Moana while also writing Hamilton.
That's interesting because I feel like most people assume that Hamilton was his big breakthrough and then Disney came calling, but sounds like he was already a busy dude.
Yeah. Do you guys have a favorite Moana song?
Do I have a favorite song, or does my daughter have a favorite
I was
Moana
gonna
song?
say, like, we all have kids, so I feel like it defaults to the kids' favorite of something.
Yeah, so this is why I say that I'm knee deep in the Miranda verses. For one, my wife obviously loves Hamilton, and she loved In the Heights and stuff, so she was already a fan. But my 3-year-old daughter, who, if I were to say this song is a Lin-Manuel Miranda song, she'd say, "Who's that?" But she loves Encanto and she loves Moana, and like she likes Frozen, but it's been like Moana nonstop for like the last couple months. So she's clearly drawn to his music, even though she doesn't really know who he is.
Hmm.
So she is a big fan of, let's see, she likes We Know the Way and obviously How Far I'll Go.
Mm.
I think those are the two big ones. But I mean, she loves all of them, like where you are and You're Welcome, and then all the different versions of How Far I'll Go, because that's kind of like the theme of the movie. She loves all of them. Maybe not so much Shiny, the Jermaine Clement song, but
Rude.
can't win them all. Yeah, but she kind of loves all of them, And for him to kind of toggle back between Hamilton mode and Moana mode is kind of crazy.
I mean, yeah, yeah, it is, but I mean, it just is like it's kind of a testament to how great of a songwriter he is. It really is because those are two completely different worlds.
Completely different. Prolific too, because that is a huge
Mhm.
body of work to produce.
Mhm.
Even over the course of years, he is really prolific. The stuff that he has been able to generate is astounding to me. That's just such a huge volume of music.
Yeah, because it's just like though. First of all, I'm just trying to like process like how can you like go back like back and forth because I'm like trying to think of like some of the bands I listen to. Like there's a band that I really well, there's an artist I should say there's an artist I really like because I'm trying to think. He sort of does something very similar where he goes from like punk to like EDM, but this is like a whole nother level. Like that's insane to kind of go from like Disney, this is kind of kids world, and then boom back to Hamilton where it's just like where it's straight hip hop and Broadway hip hop. So yeah, that's something I didn't know though. I will be honest on that. I didn't know that was around the same time.
Yeah, because I know Moana came out in 2016, but obviously with like an animated film that's got a bunch of songs in it, it's going to take a while to get that going.
Mm-hmm.
And he had, I guess, some of the people in the Hamilton cast help him like demo songs. So
Mm.
Christopher Jackson is actually in the movie, but like Philippa Sue
Yeah,
and
yeah.
Renee Elise Goldsberry helped him record some demos. But yeah, he's, I guess, like with Encanto, like, he's Puerto Rican, so it's like, all right, like he kind of understands like Latin music a little bit. Maybe not Colombian music, but for I guess I felt like there was like some sort of cultural connection, but with like Moana, he's not Samoan or Hawaiian, and he definitely is able to pick up the vibe where you don't feel like he's faking it.
Yeah, I like that about his songwriting. I feel like you don't feel like he's faking the funk. It always feels pretty genuine. It never feels like, well, this is a paycheck movie for me. You can tell he puts a lot into his songcraft.
I guess because he's so that's see, but that's the thing with it. If you're passionate about something, then it's probably fun for him. So you can probably just put him anywhere, and he'll be like, I can write a song about it.
Yeah, even on his
Then
honeymoon.
yeah, I know that's when I heard that that was so crazy.
I'm sure it doesn't
So
hurt that
yeah,
Disney is sending him to tropical paradises to like, get inspired. Like, oh, go to New Zealand and work on these Moana songs. Oh, why don't you go to
hmm
Colombia and get inspired for Encanto? Like, I'm sure it doesn't hurt that it's like, oh, you want to go to like a really beautiful country with great weather?
Yeah, sounds rough.
yeah, very very tough. I mean, yeah, because I'd always assumed that his working relationship was with Disney was a lot later because of wait, when did Mary Poppins come out again? Because that's the one I remember seeing first.
2018.
Okay.
And that's
Hmm.
because I looked it up. I didn't know it off the top of my head.
Have you seen that one, Mary Poppins?
Yeah, I
Did
don't
you
think he's
like
the
it?
problem with that movie. I just thought it was like
Yeah.
fan
Uh,
service.
hmm it was okay. Obviously, nothing's ever going to be as good as the original because that's just so hard to live up to. But I think he did what he needed to do in that one. So
Yeah, I can't point at anything wrong with that movie. I just thought it was just okay.
yeah, I think for a lot of people, it's so hard to kind of live up to the original, and because the original is just kind of stuck in everybody's heads, and it's just a classic. So Yeah, I think that was what it was like for probably maybe a lot of people.
Yeah, I mean, kudos to Emily Blunt to live up
Mhm.
to Julie Andrews. Like, I thought she did a good job.
Mhm.
Yeah, I've been avoiding some of the more recent Disney live action films for that exact reason that I can't figure out why. Well, I mean, other than like a blatant cash grab, like why they need to be put forth into existence. That new Pinocchio movie is a really great example of something that I saw, had an immediate bad reaction to, and then said nope to
Was that
forever.
Disney though?
I don't think I can do
Yeah,
it.
yeah, I it's
Oh, so not the.
So
Okay.
there are multiple Pinocchio movies, so I should clarify, not the Guillermo del
yeah.
Toro Pinocchio, the Pinocchio that they remade from the
Did
Disney
you say Tom
movie with
Hanks?
Tom
Yeah,
Hanks.
then there's another one with
Hanks, but no Hanks.
Guillermo del
Tom
Toro
Hanks
is the
as
one that's
Geppetto.
good. And
Yeah,
then
so
there's a bad one.
right, there's a good one and a bad one. So the Guillermo del Toro
Hero
adaptation
one is
is cool, looks dark and cool and very much like in his directorial style.
mhm.
But a little bit before that,
Yeah,
Disney
that one.
their Pinocchio live action with Tom Hanks as
Hanks, but no
Geppetto, and it
Hanks.
just looks so wrong.
Mm.
Hanks, but no.
Yeah. I have yet to see the Guillermo del Toro one, but I did see the Disney one. It was just the ending too was just odd. The ending too was like, did they die or they just walked off into the sunset?
Oh no.
It was a weird ending too.
I don't know if I want to know. Should have gotten Lynn involved. Maybe it would
I
have been
think at this
better.
point, like, there's nothing he can do wrong. I didn't see Tick Tick Boom, but everyone seemed to really like that movie.
Yeah,
How was it? Other than
I
Andrew
saw it.
Garfield was amazing in it. So shall we talk about the Hamilton polka?
Poor Brittany's like, why? Why would we talk about that when we have all this really great music to talk about when we talk about Weird Al? Although I can't
But
disparage Weird Al. I love Weird Al.
he liked it a lot. Yeah, so if Miranda loved it, then what can I say?
Yeah, he was geeking out at the fact that he got Weird Al to do a
Mm-hmm.
Hamilton polka.
Well, it's a compliment. It's the highest form of praise if Weird Al wants to parody you in any fashion.
Mm-hmm.
It's a
Speaking
big
of
deal.
nerds who love nerds, right? Like, of course, he
I
loves Weird
know.
Al.
That's really what the Mirandaverse is, right? It's just a giant universe of interconnected nerds, which is
Yep.
awesome.
Yeah, I mean, to write a whole musical about U.S. history, like, you had to get some practice by listening to some Weird Al parodies.
Yeah, for sure. Like we all did, at one point. Just most of
Yeah.
us didn't grow up to do anything this amazing.
But it's fun. It's a fun polka. I was like, Nicole, if you don't, if you're
Yeah,
if
super
you're running
fun.
short on time, just listen to the Hamilton polka because you'll get all the songs.
Yeah, that was Ryan's solution. Ryan's solve was if you need a refresher, just listen to the Weird Al Hamilton polka, then you're gonna be right there. And you weren't entirely wrong. It did make me want to kind of like hoist a giant mug of
Well, I
beer
mean,
or
as
something.
you should.
Do the chicken dance. It was great.
One of my favorite videos during the pandemic was the Roots and the cast of Hamilton doing "Helpless" on like normal things that you have around the house. Have you seen that video on the net? It was a Tonight Show thing.
Oh, it's one of the Tonight Show
Oh
segments.
yeah, I think
They do.
I've seen that. Yeah, I think I've seen that one. There's so many though. Like
Yeah.
I've gone down like a Hamilton rabbit hole, so it's bad.
Oh, I
And
bet.
TikTok is another one. Yeah, have you seen the one of my favorite Hamilton TikToks is where I don't remember his username, but he does Hamilton in a minute. So it's essentially the entire Hamilton soundtrack and musical in like the span of a minute, and it's pretty funny.
How?
I don't know how he does it, to be honest, but he does it, and it's in 1 minute. It's all the songs, and he plays with different characters, and he changes like the hat. He changes hats and voices and everything, and it's just like, how does he do it in a minute? And it does it in a minute.
I feel like you could hurt yourself.
I don't know. So people are really creative on TikTok, especially
Yeah.
when it comes to Hamilton. And the Hamilton TikTok, they post a lot of behind the scenes stuff and tell you about different Broadway terms and how the actors get prepared. So that's one of the reasons why I do stay on TikTok, or because it's not the greatest, but the Hamilton TikTok is great.
Yeah, I'll have to check that out. I don't have a TikTok account. I usually get my TikTok through when Nicole sends me through Instagram.
Oh yeah, you get your TikTok on Instagram like a real adult.
Oh, oh yeah, they always talk about this is how you are an adult. You see all your TikToks 2 weeks late on Instagram.
Yeah, it's really sad. I follow a bunch of like curated Instagram accounts that are just finding TikToks for me, so I don't have to find them myself because I'm too lazy.
Nicole, why didn't you mention that Lin-Manuel Miranda's in the Weird Al movie?
Oh yeah, he is in the Weird Al movie.
Oh, he is?
So they must be buds. Why would they not be?
I feel like everyone's buds with Lin-Manuel Miranda.
That is true. And I feel like it's just impossible to not want to be friends with Weird Al. So if that opportunity presents itself, like, of course, instant friendship.
Yeah, I mean, why wouldn't you? So it looks like his next project is working on this live-action Little Mermaid.
Oh, is
I'm
he
excited
doing the
about
songs?
that.
Really? He's doing the songs for that?
He's co-composer and co-producer.
Okay, so begs the question, is he adding some songs then? Is that what we're doing? We're going to add some songs to the original soundtrack score of Little Mermaid.
I think so.
I mean, Daveed Diggs is going to be in it.
I think so, because they still have the original. Because I saw the trailer, and the trailer's the actress Halle Bailey playing her is still singing the old, like the big song, and I think the other songs are still there. So it's
Part of
probably
Your
gonna be
World.
new. Yeah. Thank you. So I think it's probably gonna be new songs along with like the favorites.
I have the official word through Wikipedia. So he actually worked with Alan Menken, who wrote the original stuff. Who wrote the original songs with Howard Ashman, who has since passed away. So Miranda wrote 4 new songs for the film with Menken, and then the new songs would be a blend of their styles.
4 new songs. Wow. It's going to be a long little movie.
So it'll have his flair, but he worked with Alan Menken on it, so I don't think it's going to take a total Miranda turn, though I think there will be some rapping, and Daveed Diggs and Awkwafina are both in the cast, and they both know how to rap.
So there you go. I feel like that kinda, you're right. And I feel like that kind of maybe tips it a little bit, tipping their hand with that casting. There's no way. They can't waste that. Why would they waste that?
I mean, Daveed Diggs can act without rapping.
True, but if they're going to add
talented.
4 more
he was great
songs,
on Kimmy Schmidt.
I want to see that.
Yeah, but
wait, who do you know who Awkwafina is playing in there? What character? Because she's really funny.
Awkwafina is Scuttle.
No,
she's the bird.
not.
Oh wow. Okay.
Daveed Diggs is Sebastian, and he's gonna rap as a crab.
Oh
Okay.
my gosh, that's like perfect casting. I'm sorry.
I want this.
It really is.
But I want like Daveed Diggs, like not as, I don't know. There's something about his presence which is just so like joyful. Before we continue with our episode, here's a word from our sponsor.
Enjoy listening to podcasts and ever wonder, can I make a podcast? But it seems so complicated, and good audio production can take time. What if there was a way to create an amazing podcast easily? Well, now there is. Introducing Podcasting Made Easy from Podtastic Audio. My production team will handle your entire audio production, allowing you to be the star of your show. This is Podcasting Made Easy. How easy? Well, so easy, you don't even have to press record. Now that's easy. Your listeners are waiting. Let's deliver. Sign up for a free strategy call today at podtasticaudio.com/easy.
Do you think they're ever going to turn this into like a movie? Like, I know they had the Disney Plus filmed performance. Do you think they're going to turn this into a movie, and is it going to be any good?
That's a great question. Like, what's the forecast for that? What's your answer, Brittney? And do you want it?
Well, oh man. I don't know, because I know when they did when he sent it to Disney, it was a buyout, so I don't know. So I don't know. I mean, there could be, but my opinion would be it would have to really outdo the Disney version, and then it would also have to be the same original cast, because everybody's kind of grown to really know that is like Hamilton. So my opinion would, I don't. I'm right now. I'm a hard maybe no. Right now, that's my opinion. I think because of it just being on Disney and everybody's just kind of going off and doing their own thing. So I guess right now I'm no.
I'd agree with that. I don't want another Rent situation.
Oh yeah. And Disney did such a really good job of capturing it in a way that you can still feel that it's a actual Broadway play, but then also see another side of the play where you get to see like the little intricacies and things that you may not be able to see if you're at the play, especially if you're in like the back and things like that. So I think they did a really brilliant job.
I agree. I really enjoyed the Disney Plus performance because I didn't get to see the original cast.
Yeah, and I think that's why it was great, right? Because as you said, most people didn't get to see the original cast because it blew up so quickly. So seemingly overnight, nobody could afford it anymore and it was too popular. I think Disney's going to do it. I don't think it's going to happen now. I think they're going to do it. I think people will definitely have opinions on it. Especially with Broadway stuff, it's hard to adapt certain shows. This seems difficult to adapt to like a Les Mis type of setting, right? Where you have more sets and production and cinematography and all of those things. And I think it would be weird, but my prediction is that it's going to happen. So Disney,
we hope that you're wrong. Disney 2030.
I'm sure anybody that cares about Hamilton hopes that does not come to pass. But we know how Disney is.
Also, a fun fact about Lin is his cousin just completed his rookie season as a Major League Baseball player for the Minnesota Twins.
What is his family? Why are they all so talented?
And I think his cousin's like a good half foot taller than. And he's pretty good. But he's like half a foot taller than Lin.
Well, that helps.
Lin doesn't have a baseball player's body.
Oh no!
I'm not trashing the man. That's just how it is. He's got a dancer's body. He's a Broadway star. But anyways, thank you for coming on our podcast, Brittney.
No, it was fun. It was great to talk about Hamilton with other people that won't get mad at me because I'm going on about
Never.
stuff.
Thank you for sharing your love for Hamilton. Masses.
Yeah, thank you for letting us bring up the Weird Al polka and the Decemberist Ben Franklin song.
Yeah, you know what? I didn't know about that one, so I have to go look that one up because I'm not a big Decemberist fan, so that one I'm gonna have to add to my playlist.
It's fun. It's whimsical.
I like whimsical.
So if people want to follow you on social media, well, how can they find you?
I'm mainly on Twitter and Instagram, and it's at the Brittney W, and that would be at TheBrittney and then W. So just my name.
And they can find you at the Reclusive Blogger as well.
Yeah.
And that's thereclusiveblogger.com. And you have a podcast where people can find pretty much wherever they can find this podcast.
Yep. And that would be the Reclusive Blogger interviews.
Very cool. And you can find us on Instagram at SoundtrackCast and on Twitter at soundtrack_your. And on our Patreon at patreon.com/soundtrackyourlife. But thank you again, Brittney. And
oh, thank you. I had a lot of fun.
Yeah, we had a lot of fun too.
Thanks for joining us this week on Soundtrack Your Life. Make sure to visit our website, soundtrackyourlife.net, where you can subscribe to the show on Apple Podcasts or Spotify. While you're at it, if you found value in the show, we'd appreciate a rating. Or if you'd simply tell a friend about the show, that would help us out too.